next 3 days, your life is going to change, and you are going to, by God, be rearranged. Just don't be arranged. Anyhow, now the next one is become a cut-up. How's that feel? It's pulling on the middle of your back. You feel it? Isn't that great? Somebody taking a picture of this? I hope so. Okay, back, 2 deep breaths. Okay, come fly with me. Look at that. Isn't that look at that girl. Hey, come fly with me. You look great. Funny, but you look great. Okay, stop. 2 deep breaths. Okay, now become a cut-up. Become a cut-up like this. Bend over a little bit, not a lot. Now a little bit, not a lot. Okay, stand up. 2 deep breaths. 2 deep breaths. What? No, I'll just hold on to it. Okay, now we want to do some push down like this. One hand and then one hand, one hand and one hand, up and down. Yes, don't go too far, just enough. You don't have to stretch out. You don't have to be a guru and touch your toes. You don't have to do that. Come swing with me. Okay, one last one. Take 2 deep breaths again. Now this one, bow down to somebody 3 times, like this. Bow down to somebody. Make them feel good. Bow down to your wife, your friend, anybody. Bow down. Isn't that nice, ladies, being bowed down by your husband? He adores you. That's why he's doing this. See there? Okay, all right, 2 deep breaths again. 2 deep breaths again. And the last one, okay, will be this one again. I'm going to give you this. We take your arms up and take a deep breath right there. And then let it out real slow as you're bringing it down. Control the air coming out with your arms. And then take that one big gulp. Ha! Okay, let's do 5 of these. Okay, try it again. Okay. One more. Okay, now I want you to turn around and shake hands. No, we're going to do one additional one. This one, watch what I'm going to do. You take it stand side, you take 1 step forward, and you go like that. And then you go say, I'm excited. Okay. Well, you make like this, and then you go like this. I'm excited. I'm excited. Now say, let's do 10 of them. I'm excited. Let me hear you. I'm excited. 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 Oh, now turn around and shake hands with 3 different people than you did this morning and say, I'm excited. Or maybe you could say, I'm David. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. Okay, you can have a seat. And I like to tell something funny every once in a while, because they say I am funny. So, this husband and wife, their birthdays were in July, and they both turned 60 at the same time in that month. Hey, Patterson, let them hear my joke, please. Thank you. This husband and wife both turned 60 in their same month, and they decided to go to the beach and celebrate. It was really exciting. They were so excited they got up early in the morning, And they got on the beach right away. And they were out walking around and say, look at this, we got the beach to ourselves. And all of a sudden they heard a voice. It said, this is God, Jerry and Mary, how are you? Thank you, God, where are you? I'm right here. And he says, I appreciate what you did for me and all the other people, so I want you two to each have one wish. Whatever the wish is, I will give it to you. The wife said, wow, God, you know we don't have money to travel, so if you could help us that way. She had a handful of tickets. She said, Jerry, look at this, we can travel everywhere. So God said to Jerry, what would you like? He said, well, God, I'm a little embarrassed in front of my wife. Would you mind if we walk down the beach a little farther? And he said, no. And she said, go ahead, because we're going to be on the traveling everywhere. So go ahead, you can have a private talk with God. So they got farther down there. God said, well, what do you want, Jerry? He said, well, I'm really embarrassed to tell you. You should know what I want. No, just tell me. He said, okay, God. I want a wife that's 30 years younger than me. Puff! Puff! He turned 90. So be careful for what you wish. Isn't that crazy? Your wives were really blessed. Back to business. Hey, I'm really excited about sharing this great gift that I've had for 24 years in 29 countries already. And I told you how the water is made. And I'll explain it real quickly again. The water goes through the filter built in the machine. Then it goes through the ionization process, throws a negative charge on the water, and pulls all the acidic minerals, which are the acidic minerals, to the positive side, and it comes out of the machine and goes into the sink. There's a hose. And then the alkaline minerals, which are alkaline, they pull them to the acidic side, and it comes out of the flex tube, and it can produce a gallon a minute. And so that's the only thing you're drinking is alkaline minerals, calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium from its natural source. And again, I told you it's smaller in size. So what does it do to your body? It helps the small intestine and the large intestine work so good, the colon doesn't have to work as hard anymore. And you won't get hemorrhoids. Who knows what hemorrhoids are? Wow. Did you hear what I said? You won't get hemorrhoids anymore. Do you know what causes hemorrhoids? The large intestine is working so hard to dump that stuff. But do you know what causes the problem with the colon? What is it? Indigestion. Now, what causes that? Dehydration. And see, so dehydration causes the indigestion, and then the indigestion causes the colon to mess up, and that's why we have hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids, all they are, I don't know where they came up with the names. All a hemorrhoid is a bleeding vessel because you had so hard to work with the colon. So now that all of that stops, and it's because you're dehydrated and then you have acidosis. So it's all caused from the water. No water. If you drink all those other waters, 99% of them are acid. They leach minerals out of your body, calcium out of your bones, and dehydrate you. Dehydration causes constipation. Constipation is causes the colon to have a hard time, which produces hemorrhoids. So if you're hydrated and you don't have constipation, what do you call it? My mind is blank. Anyhow, it goes from your body into the colon. So the colon will not have any problems. How many have heard of anybody with colon cancer? Wow, it's caused by dehydration and acidosis and constipation. the colon, they tell me in Japan, they told me, David, by the way, you have a 99% chance, listen to this, of not ever having colon cancer. Isn't that neat? How many would you like to not ever have colon cancer? If you're drinking this water faithfully, you won't be congested and your colon will not be clogged up and you won't have colon cancer. Now let me ask somebody, if somebody has colon cancer, what about it? Well, if you start drinking this water, it's going to clear that up. You won't have colon cancer. The only way the colon has cancer in it is because you're acid and dehydrated. So the dehydration and acid, the dehydration instead of acid being alkaline, you can save your colon. Isn't that exciting? Wow. And then the next part is so first of all, it helps the small intestine, the large intestine works so good, the colon doesn't have to work as hard. And then our kidneys. In the past 20 years versus the last 50 years before that, we have tripled the amount of people having kidney problems and being on dialysis. And it's so sad, but it is a reality. But I have doctors who now treat their people on dialysis with my water, and they are getting well. And I told the story before, all you have to do, the Japanese told me, you just have to get a glass, around 12-ounce glass. You have that patient that's on dialysis, sip it with a straw real slow for a couple of weeks. Then you put the water on level 2. That's between 8 and 9 pH. For another 2 or 3 weeks, they're drinking more water already without even realizing it. Remember, they can only drink around 28 to 32 ounces of any liquid. And here we are with just a small amount of liquid. This is working on that body, again, because it's helping the colon, helping the small intestine, large intestine. And so people, because we have so much acidosis and dehydration, the kidneys are having more problems, double and triple than they were the 50 years before. So they have to go on dialysis. Wow, a pain, 2 or 3 hours a day. They have to go 3 times a week, and it costs a fortune, and it's not a great thing to do. But if you, what happened is that my sister, again, in case you didn't hear it, was a vice president at an insurance company, and everybody was drinking their water, her water, and the people that cleaned said, is there any way I can take some home? And they called me, and because their daughter was on dialysis already for 2.5 years, and the doctor told them if she didn't get a kidney soon, she would die. And they asked if it could work. And I said, well, here's what the Japanese told me. And they got on that water, and they told me between 3.5 and 5 months, something happens to a lot of the kidneys. In 3.5 months exactly, they called me on the phone that night and said they were shouting from the rooftop, hey, David, you got to hear this, you got to hear this. I thought something happened. They went to the doctor to get dialysis, and the doctor looked at her, she's around 32 years old, looked at her and said, walked out, threw his book down on his desk and walked out of the room. He came back later and said, you don't need me anymore, so you can leave. Because he wasn't happy because she got well. And so her kidneys were working. So when they went downstairs where the door was, where the people go out, he had his nurse and a receptionist standing there and told them, do not tell anybody else because this is not medically approved. It's just water. It's not medically approved. The doctor says drink water. It is medically approved. How's that one? Or else they're lying to us. But they really don't know what they're giving you. That's what the big problem was. And so I've seen many, many people and heard many, many people with dialysis, with this type of a thing, be able to have their kidneys start working. Not all of them, but some of them, it's worth it, isn't it? And so then everything has a frequency. The frequency of this water is similar to your pineal gland, which then triggers your thymus and starts producing hormones again. That's why people are taking less nutrition and their sugar has got down and starting to happen, their sugar levels. And people are becoming, some of them are becoming free from being a diabetic. Isn't this exciting? But see, most people don't do it exactly the way they say. They're not repetitious. They make too much, oh, I'll do it tomorrow or no. It's, if you were on dialysis 3 times a week, going there for 2 or 3 hours, 3 hours I think it is, 3 times a week, why wouldn't you want to get off of it? Well, it's worth the try, isn't it? And because it triggers the pituitary gland, next it triggers the pituitary gland and wakes up the brain. Some people that didn't know their family know their family. One of the women that bought my alkalizers in Orlando, Florida, had a home where they take care of 27 to 30 people all the time. And she bought the alkalizer for herself. She bought one for them. She had the girls put a glass of water by each one of the beds twice a day. And what happened is people were starting to take care of themselves. People were feeding themselves. People could get up and help other people. One of the instances why I'm talking about this one is the one woman, she had the disease where she can't remember anybody. What's that? My mind is like, yes. Yeah, Alzheimer's for around 2.5 or 3 years. Before I came there with my equipment, her daughter just left for Europe. And then her daughter, 2 months, came back. And she walked in the room. Wow. Walked in the room and her mother knew who she was. She said, hi, honey, where have you been? I'm telling you, I see all this kind of stuff all the time. That's why I'm so young. I get excited about everything that's happening. And it invigorates you and says, wow, God, you gave me something that every person needs. Every person in the world needs my water and my treatments. At least every person needs my water. Everyone, because they're all have acidosis and dehydration and free radicals. It's taking care of their body. That's not. How can you get well if you're under stress producing more free radicals? How can you get well if you're just not, you're too tired? How can you get well if you have heart problems or any other kind of problems? How can you do that? Wow, I told the story again about the arteries. The man was going to have a quadruple bypass, and that was the second one in 6 years. And he started on my water, and it was, I've got to remember, that one was in around 6.5 weeks, I believe. He called, and they're shouting from the rooftop, and he said, my arteries are cleaned out. You see what this water does? It doesn't allow the coagulation of the plaque in the blood. It breaks it down before it can clog up your arteries. Breaks it down. But if you have to get a quad or triple double, in 10 to 12 weeks, you can get cleared out. Yes, I'm telling you, no operations. Isn't that amazing? And how many people know somebody that had a quad or a triple or a double? Anybody? They have their arteries? I'm telling you, it makes a big difference. You're a changed person. And you can tell people that you don't have to live with colon cancer. You don't have to live with prostate cancer. I'll tell you a story about the prostate, even though we use the microcurrent. One of my doctor friends who was in a major injury, a major accident, he couldn't use his shoulders, his arms, his legs. He could hardly walk. That was testimony. And he finally decided to come and see me. And he started on the treatments. And in 3.5 months, he could do everything. Do everything. Isn't that exciting? Well, around 3 years later, which was 6 months ago, 7 or 8 months ago, I stopped by to see him because he sends people to me. And he said, I got a problem. I said, what's that? He said, I have prostate cancer. I'm swelled up, I'm bleeding, I can't go to the bathroom, and I'm in pain. I got to come over and get these treatments. And within 5 to 6 treatments, the swelling was gone, the bleeding was stopped, the pain was gone. And this is 7 months or 8 months later, maybe even almost a year. He's perfectly well. And he tells everybody about it. We can treat any one of your organs. when I'm going to be talking about all that microcurrent. But he poured the water down too. It takes the water and it takes the microcurrent. I just don't want people to be living with diseases they don't have to have. The Japanese have the longest longevity of life than anybody because they drink that alkaline water everywhere. They eat an alkaline diet. And here we could do the same thing. It's that simple. Then the next thing I'm going to talk about is when you take a shower on chlorine water, it's like drinking 8 glasses of chlorine water in 10 minutes. It's a carcinogen. It can cause cancer, and it dries your hair up and your skin up, and that carcinogen is still in your bathroom for up to an hour. They just had a new report on all the water, the water for all the water municipalities in the USA, and they discovered again that their water is horrible. It has all kinds of prescriptions and all kinds of everything in the water, worse than ever. Philadelphia had 64 types of prescriptions in their water. And they're saying that everybody in the USA should have a filtration system to save their life. How many newspaper ads and how many people told it on the 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock news? It never got there. You see, that just happened 6 months ago. But to tell you how our government and everything works, in 2009, I have the Reader's Digest. I'll bring it in me next time. On the front, it said all of these things. And you better get a filtration. It said water catching on fire. Different things has all this stuff in it from one city to the next. And no, they didn't put that on the front news. They didn't put that in the newspapers. That was 2009. That's 9 years ago. And then now they said it again. The only reason I heard about it is somebody put it on a YouTube. And I saw that YouTube. And then guess what? It was gone. 2 weeks later, you can't find it. Because they shushed it all up. They don't want us. They don't want us to get well because it's going to cost them too much money. And it's just greed that we have out there. No, we do need every kind of a doctor for certain things, and they have to do that. But if they could get out of the box and everything they do, including operations, if the people started drinking the water and using the acidic water on the healing process, they would get well in half of the time. We are spending too much money, too much time, worried with too much stress because of too much disease, which are caused by, according to the Japanese, by dehydration, acidosis, and free radicals. And I have the machine that'll help your body do those things. You see, my wife and I, my wife was on 3 prescriptions when we got on the water, and we were drinking Pepsis and Coke instead. No water at all. And then our nutrition, we were spending right around $300 a month. And a few other things. My wife used to get allergies all her life because she grew up in Philadelphia area. Her worst one was just before we got on the water. She cracked 2 ribs and displaced 1 from coughing and choking. That's how bad it was. We got on the water, and this is 24 years later. She's only had 3 or 4 attacks for 1 day only. Can you imagine that? Isn't that exciting? We live, I had kidney stones, shingles, and viruses and all that, and I haven't had anything. This water will break down the kidney stones. It'll break down the gallstones. It'll help your body do just about anything if you let it. This is living water. Living water. It makes me so sad when I know that the water bottles I see in people's cars, they're acid. And they're getting sicker because of it. They're not getting well. They're not hydrated. They're dehydrated. If you're dehydrated and have acidosis and free radicals, you're not going to have a healthy body. You're going to age, and if you have diseases, you're going to get worse. How many of you would like to not ever get sick again? Oh, yes. Well, the Lord has given a provision. If your church, your little church down the street somewhere, and there were only 100 people or so there, if your church could afford to buy just 1 water machine and hooked it up, and then the senior citizens would make around 1,000 gallons, because you can make a gallon a minute, 1,000 gallons for each week, and each family takes 10 gallons home, your church in 30, 60, or 90 days, you'll see miracles that you've never seen before. Pretty soon your church will be getting well to people. And your friend that used to have a cane isn't using it and he's out cutting the lawn. His neighbor is going to say, what'd you do? And he said, I go to church and Jesus healed me. And they're going to come to your church. They're going to come to know the Lord because Jesus is doing the healing. And we have something that will change your life so that you'll be the example. We need as Christians to be well. Why should we be sick? God said he will heal us. Ask and ye shall receive. But the problem is right now that little mustard seed, you're not having enough faith evidently to believe that God will heal. I grew up in the Assembly of God churches, and we saw healings years ago. You remember I am 81. Years ago. I even prayed for people in ministries and saw people get healed. I don't see that as too much anymore in most of the churches. It's almost like the church is a great club to belong to. You get there, church, oh, there's your friends. Hi, Jerry, how you doing? Hi, Mary, how you doing? When I used to go to church younger, we sat down there and we were praying before the church started so God could work, not meeting our friends and afterward, hey, what restaurant you going to go to? Let's all go. That was more important than going to church, and God can't work that way. We got to get our churches praying and believing and thinking, why would we go into church today? I pray before that God will use me when I go to church and that God will give me something. He will give me something. Even though I read the Bible and pray, I get something from almost every message. It's for me. Wow, and the people that aren't reading their Bible or praying and starting their day in the morning with the Lord, how can they get that? They can't. You folks are missing out. You got to take time for God, and then he'll take time for you. I'm so blessed to have this. I'm just privileged. My wife and I, when we go anywhere for 2 days or more, we take our shower magic with us, unhook the hotel, and we put ours up. That's why we're not sick ever. The only thing we do is get up in the morning, I drink a quart of this water ice cold. And nothing else. I don't eat or drink anything at the moment. It increases the metabolism by 28 to 32%, which helps break down fat cells and other things and wakes up every part of your body. That's why I'm so energized. I drink that water. Then I do something that other people don't do. I have a special frap. That's the best chocolate shake you ever had in your life. And I make it with my stuff. And my wife and I have that. We don't eat breakfast. And at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, we're getting hungry. We have a soup or salad or a sandwich and then dinner. And it has everything with my water, all this alkaline situation with alkaline ice cubes. Can you imagine? Juice, coffee, tea, juice, soda, beer, wine, every one of those are acid. They leach minerals out of your body, calcium out of your bones, and dehydrate your system. Juice is acid. These people on juice diets and all this stuff, they're really helping a little but hurting themselves. All you have to do is make alkaline ice cubes. And you pour your juice, the all-natural juice, over the ice cubes, and now you got alkaline juice. You see, and you use the ice cubes for everything that way. And then the water you cook with it, like I said. Boy, you've never eaten vegetables like this. You scrub your vegetables with the acidic water for 3 or 4 minutes, and then scrub them and soak them in the alkaline, and then you cook them in a steamer of all things, with alkaline water. You steam them in alkaline water. You've never tasted vegetables like this in your life. It's the healthiest thing you're eating. You're eating alkaline vegetables. Isn't that exciting? And you can wash your floor with it, your mirrors with it, your windows with the acidic side. Helps heal up sores, acne, burns, wounds. And if I was bleeding my finger and bleeding away, I just put it underneath that acidic water 1.5 minutes and the bleeding stops, or my arm, or whatever it is. And then in 2 or 3 days, it's healed. Healed already. The healing process happens in half of the time for everything. Wow, isn't this exciting to know that you can get well? And then you'll have a story you can tell for the Lord. And to me, that's worth more than anything. I'm excited about living. I'm excited about sharing, because the next two that I share with will put the wall. I just told you about the foundation. The next one are going to be the walls, and then the roof, and then you can be young. Anti-aging. I have been aged in the last 10, 12, 14 years. People that see me, they don't believe it's me. I'm blessed. You can be blessed too. Some of the people are getting treatments already with our stuff that I'll be talking about tomorrow. But does anybody have any questions? All right, then we can go on to the next part of the program. I want to thank you for listening to me. What? You have a question?
Yes, you have the machine you're selling. Or we get the machine for the water. Or we get the machine for the water, to do the water.
How do you get the machine?
Oh, well, the president is going to work something out for everybody. And so he'll be able, the president is going to work out something for the group. Yes. And he has one knife now in their office.
Just interested in knowing the ingredients of that mini breakfast that you say you have.
I'm going to be giving that on my third speaking, because I want you to be able to do exactly what I do. And if you do exactly what I do, you won't be getting sick. You'll be energized, oxidized, mentalized, and mobilized. Isn't that exciting? From morning, noon, and night. You'll have more fun with each other. You'll be enjoying each other. You have more energy to serve the Lord. You see, my motto is give away a smile, you get back a pile. I tell the people in a store and restaurant, I go through the line, and this person, I know they're not smiling, I say to them, boy, you got a beautiful smile. They weren't even smiling. And so then they smile. And I said, my motto is give away a smile, you get back a pile. And then I say, but if you're not smiling, your app is going to go down there on the floor in that pile. In some other place, you're going to have to dial because you didn't smile. And I tell everybody, why not? Why don't you be a lifter-upper, not a downer? Don't have a frown, look like a clown, just put on a smile. I mean, we're Christians. We got God. He can give us life. He can give us enthusiasm. He can give us joy. Yes. That's what he can give us if you let him. The Bible says, ask and you shall receive. Yes.
Pastor, what's the cost for the...
Yeah, we're going to have a special program through the conference. Yes. Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, sir. I really want to know the cost for the machine.
We haven't come up with one yet. We're working one out with the conference so all the Seventh-day Adventists can have a special prize. Yes. Oh, okay. Anybody else have a question? Oh, sorry.
Do you drink this water in place of regular water? Meaning, for instance, we're told to drink 8 glasses. About 8 glasses of water per day. So is it the same? We drink about 8 glasses of the alkaline water.
Yeah, I only drink the alkaline water. So if any way you can possibly get that, and if people can't afford it, then the church should get together and get one and start producing water for everybody in your church. I don't see why they can't. It doesn't cost hardly anything to make it. And once you start getting better, you're going to start saving some money by not taking some of the stuff you take already. And you might be able to afford to get your own machine in your own house. It just hooks right up to your faucet in a few minutes, and a gallon a minute flows from that faucet. And it flows for the alkaline water coming out of the flex tube and the restructured acid water that can be used on the outside of your body for everything. Eye drops in the eyes, you name it. And we have a whole program for all of that. But I just wanted to share with whatever is on your mind, somebody. Anybody else? Anybody else would like a question? Yeah, there you go. Excuse me, can I go through there? Oh, sorry.
I don't know if you have any idea about the magnet. You know, magnet. Yes, what they wear on their hand, and they say it have to do something with the hurt and your sickness. You know, yes, the copper magnet that they wear, and some wear it on their feet and things like that.
When we get finished in the next 3 days, you're going to see how I had one man that was a captain of a Navy ship for 25 years in India, and they had a major accident, and somehow he got inoculated, and he was a baby, couldn't do anything. And he heard about me a year ago, and I'll tell you the story later. You're going to hear about the big miracle. He couldn't move, couldn't do nothing. He couldn't do anything, not even feed himself, lift his arms, legs, or anything. But guess what? I'll tell you.
Just asking, did you say something about drinking the ice cubes?
Drinking with alkaline ice cubes.
And in cold, the ice cube. Is it not said that we are to drink the water at room temperature because the ice cold water gives poor circulation?
Don't believe it. All these nutritionists and everybody telling me, hey, you don't drink that water cold. Well, that's not right. I'm the water man, the water doctor since 24 years ago. I start out with, and every time I can drink it cold, I'll drink it cold. But if not, I'll have some water, I'll drink it warm when it is, and I can't get the cold water. It increases the metabolism by 28 to 32%. The body has to warm it up. And that's why it works so good and helps everything. And it's alkaline, and it's cleansing. It works, believe me. Any other questions? Any other questions? Oh, right. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm coming right up here. All right.
Yes, sir. This miracle water, is it regular alkaline water or something that you manufacture, you produce? Is it something that you produce, or is it the regular alkaline water?
Yes. Well, my manufacturers, I've been the direct importer for the world from Japan for the last 23 years already. Almost 24 years. So I am the importer, and then I have people that sell it, and we sell it across the country, and I do seminars all over the country in areas, yes. Yes. I think I am, according to the president. So I want to come back. Yes. Anybody else have a question? Yes. Yes.
What I want to know is, how about water that come purified from the earth? Is the water that come purified from the earth, like from a spring? Is your water, I would say, compatible or compared to that type of water?
Spring water? Yeah. Most spring water is not. Most spring water is acid. If anything, it might be neutral. But I'm going to bring, in the next day or so, in the third day when I talk about the end, I'm going to test I'm going to have all the water show you why it isn't. Now, but some water, but the most it would be, it might be 7, which is neutral, which is just, it still has stuff in it, because unless that spring is 600 feet or so deep, unless your well is 600 feet deep, you got seepage going in there and you got a problem. And that's what it is. But this water, you can use it for everything. It'll save you money, and it'll pay for whatever it is because of that. And good health is where, if you're good and healthy, you're not going to be staying home because you're sick just from that. And you won't have to pay bills for a doctor because you're not sick anymore. Isn't that exciting? You can wake up every morning and say, wow, God, thank you, I'm alive. Who do you want me to see again today, Lord? I'm ready to serve. You see, if you play tennis, you can't win without serving. So serve if you got the nerve, all right? I tell people. Anything else? Anybody have another question? Okay. Well, we're going to have some more, especially this was the foundation. The next time I talk is about the walls and then the roof. And in the end, before I leave here, you'll have how simple I live, but how healthy I am. And every one of you can live this life that I live if you have the water. And then some of you if you have the microcurrent, which I'm going to share about. So thank you very much. It's an exciting day. God is in charge. It's not what you have, but what you do with what you have for someone else. So you get up to serve, get up to give, and the Lord will honor you. Thank you.
Amen. All right, the presenter for the next session is not here, and we just have to use who we have here. So I'm going to bring back